Most people spend months planning their own business. Noah Kagan says you can do it in 48 hours. In his book, $1 Million Weekend, he presents a radical idea on how to start your own business in just 48 hours. Whether you're stuck at the starting line or just being overwhelmed by all the traditional business advice, these 5 key insights from Kagan's method could really change how you think about entrepreneurship. So now, let me show you how to turn your weekend into a business launching pad. This month, I read $1 Million Weekend by Noah Kagan, and it completely changed my perspective of how to find ideas to start your own business. Noah's story was quite interesting. He was the 30th employee at Facebook, now Meta, and was about to get around 0.1% of the company when he suddenly found himself without a job because they fired him for underperforming. Then he spent the next 10 plus years creating businesses, one of which is AppSumo, the software discount company, and created a fortune for himself in the process. I really like how he picked himself up and managed to overcome the failure of being fired from Meta. To be honest, most people would have just given up. But without further ado, let's get into the 5 key lessons I got from the book. And wait till we get to lesson 4. It's probably the best business insight I've ever read. The first lesson, and I know this is so counterintuitive, is that you need to have a rejection goal for each week. This sounds super strange, doesn't it? But let me explain. By setting a rejection goal each week, when you talk to your business prospects, either through email or phone or through advertising, you completely change your attitude on how you talk to them. And it also shifts your mindset on rejection from something that's dreaded and to be avoided to something fun and something to be collected. And the amazing thing here is by collecting no's, you'll also stumble on some yeses. And let me tell you a story from the book. The author talks very fondly of his father. He used to be a copier salesman. His father would go to every business in town, demand to speak to the manager, and then try his hardest to sell his copiers to them. One day, after 10 store visits, he managed to do 2 sales, and as a reward, he took Noah for burritos. But Noah was so unhappy that he saw his father get rejected 8 times in a day. And then his father gave him the best lesson in the world and told him to love rejections, collect them like treasures, and set rejection goals. And he told him to shoot for 100 rejections each week, because if you work so hard to get no's, eventually you'll stumble onto some yeses as well. A really fun exercise you can do is next time you go to Starbucks or any other coffee shop, before paying for your coffee, ask for 10% discount and see what happens. They will likely decline you, but that's not the exercise. The exercise will get you used to asking uncomfortable questions and be okay with rejections. While handling rejection is crucial, finding a right idea is equally important. Let's see what Kagan has to say about that. The second lesson I got from the book is the fast $1 million idea funnel. Yeah, I came up with that name. The best way of starting your own business is by doing an exploration phase, and the author has a nice formula on how to do that. First, you start by listing out all the business ideas that come to mind and try to make a list of 10 or more items. Then, out of all the business ideas you found, choose 3. And from these 3 ideas, find the one that resonates most with you and test that first. If the idea that you had at first doesn't pan out, you can either tweak the idea and try again, or go back to your list and find another idea to test. Rinse and repeat until you get $1 million idea. There are many examples of famous companies that have pivoted from their original startup idea and now they have a valuation of more than $1 billion. And my 3 favorite business success stories of all time are these. First is Starbucks, who used to sell espresso makers and coffee beans. But after the CEO, Howard Schultz, visited Europe in 1983, he was determined to shift the business to brew and sell coffees in European-style coffee houses. The second one is Nintendo, who used to sell anything from vacuum cleaners to playing cards. But in 1966, they shifted the business model to creating video games, and they became the company we know and love today. God, I really want that Mario Kart vacuum cleaner now. Nintendo, if you're watching this, please make it happen. And the last one is YouTube, who started as a dating company called Tune In Hook Up. But that didn't pan out, and in 2005 they shifted to the video streaming company we know and love today. Having a great business idea is one thing, but what Kagan emphasizes next completely changed my perspective on business execution. The third lesson I got from the book, and this is so crucial, is to always concentrate on taking action. There's a famous quote from Buddha that goes like this: "There are two mistakes one can make along the road to truth: not going all the way and not starting." As we saw from the previous point, there's no benefit in waiting and trying to figure out all the aspects of your business before you start. Many companies have started out with one idea, but then eventually shifted to another. And that is because their initial business idea was not good, and they decided to pivot the business instead of going out. It would be a complete waste of time to plan out a business for the next 3 months and then realizing by the end that no one actually really wanted your product. But by taking action, you'll immediately figure out what works and what doesn't, and eventually, after many failed business ideas, you'll stumble upon something that works. And the ceramics teacher story illustrates this well. So people in a ceramics class were split in two groups, Group A and Group B. Group A was told that in the next 30 days they'll have to create as many pots as possible, and that they will be judged based on how many pots they created and not the quality of their pots. But Group B was told that at the end of the 30 days they only had to create one pot, but that pot had to be perfect and they will be only graded on that one pot. And then a surprising thing happened. At the end of the class, the teacher looked at all the pots and then realized that the highest quality pot came from the Group A, who needed to make as many pots as possible, and not from the Group B, who only had one perfect pot to make. But taking action doesn't mean blindly building your business. Kagan's next insight shows us how to test our ideas intelligently, and it's probably not what you're expecting. The fourth lesson is that you need to test your business as soon as possible, and this is a continuation of lesson 3. A business idea is not worth it if the market doesn't want to buy it. How do most companies do this, you're asking? Most companies fail because they come up with a business idea, then they spend the next 6 months to a year trying to implement that business, and then and only then they're trying to sell the product. And if it doesn't work, they just spend all the time, money and effort they spent on that business. The author provides another way. Before even thinking of doing any work, try to advertise your product and see if people are willing to pay for it. In the book, he talked about one of his friends who, even before having a website, he would advertise on Facebook Market, and if people wanted to buy, then he would refund all these orders and start working properly on the business. And what Noah advises is to go to places where people are looking to spend their money to have their problems solved. The best places here are the marketplaces on either Craigslist, Facebook or Etsy. These places have millions of visitors and they are a good testing ground for your market research. Testing your ideas is crucial, but there's one final bit of the puzzle that's absolutely essential. And it's all about getting the money part right from day one. The fifth, and probably the most counterintuitive lesson from Kagan, is to focus on revenue first. As we said before, most entrepreneurs build their product first and then try to find customers. Kagan completely flips the script. He says get paid first and then build second. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? But let me show you how it works. In the book, he talked about a crazy challenge he got from one of his students one day. In 24 hours, he had to make $1,000 in profit from selling beef jerky. He did the math on a piece of paper and he tried to figure out how much he can charge for beef jerky and how much it would cost for him to deliver it. He quickly realized that his first business idea was not worth it because he wanted to sell around 200 bags of beef jerky and he didn't have the money to run ads, so all the advertisement had to be done on cold email and phone. But then he realized, instead of selling one bag of beef jerky, he could sell subscriptions for 3 to 6 months worth of the product. And the math was a bit more favorable for him in this situation. With this new business plan, he only needed to make 33 sales within the span of 24 hours in order to reach his goal. And actually managed to make more than 33 sales and achieve his goal. That was amazing, wasn't it? I know that these 5 key insights from the $1 Million Weekend fundamentally challenge how most people think about starting a business. But this is what fascinates me the most. They all work together as a system. You embrace rejection while testing new ideas quickly. Then you take action while focusing on revenue. And suddenly, that 48-hour window doesn't seem that crazy anymore. Before we end the video, I have a challenge for you. Try the coffee shop rejection exercise this week and let me know how it goes in the comment section down below. If you like this video and want to see more, please check out this video or this video that the YouTube algorithm thinks you like. But until next time, have a good one